Good morning, everyone. This is February 2nd, 2026, and we need to talk about what Environment Canada has just issued across southern Ontario. We're looking at yellow snow warnings that are now active for multiple regions, and this is a lake effect situation that's going to deliver significant accumulations through the next 24 to 36 hours. Environment Canada posted these warnings early this morning, and the National Weather Service across the border is echoing similar concerns for the eastern Great Lakes region. So this is a coordinated alert system telling us the same thing. We've got a substantial snowfall event underway that's going to impact travel, daily operations, and anyone who needs to be moving around the affected zones. Let's break down exactly what we're dealing with here. The yellow warnings, and I want to be clear about what that classification means. These are not the lowest tier advisories. These are step 2 on Environment Canada's alert hierarchy, indicating that conditions are going to create hazardous situations requiring public awareness and preparation. We're talking about total accumulations in the 15 to 25 centimetre range across the primary impact zones, which stretches from the Niagara region through the Golden Horseshoe, extending eastward through Prince Edward County and parts of eastern Ontario. That's 6 to 10 inches for those thinking in imperial measurements, and that's enough snow to create serious travel disruptions, reduced visibility, and the kind of conditions where you need to be asking yourself if your trip is truly necessary. The meteorological setup here is textbook lake effect mechanics. We've got a cold Arctic air mass that swept down from Hudson Bay overnight, and that air is now positioned over the relatively warmer waters of Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. The temperature differential is significant. We're seeing lake surface temperatures still holding in the 3 to 5 degrees Celsius range, while the air mass aloft at 850 millibars, that's roughly 1,500 metres elevation, is sitting at minus 18 to minus 22 degrees Celsius. That's a temperature gradient of more than 20 degrees. And when you get that kind of contrast, you create the instability that drives these intense snow bands. The air picks up moisture as it travels across the open water. That moisture condenses as the air rises over the land, stores, and you get these concentrated snow bands that can deliver intense snowfall rates in very localized areas. Now here's what makes this particular event noteworthy. The wind direction. We've got a westerly flow that's perfectly aligned to create maximum fetch across Lake Ontario, meaning the air has the longest possible distance to travel over water, picking up maximum moisture before it slams into the southern Ontario shoreline. The winds are sustained at 30 to 40 kilometres per hour, with gusts reaching 60 kilometres per hour in exposed areas. And that wind speed is strong enough to create blowing snow conditions, which reduces visibility even further beyond what the falling snow itself is doing. Environment Canada's observation stations in Hamilton recorded visibility dropping to 400 metres during the heaviest snow bands early this morning, and that's basically whiteout conditions where you can't see more than a few car lengths ahead. The timing on this system, and this is crucial for planning purposes, the most intense snow bands are going to persist through today, Sunday, February 2nd, continuing through tonight and into Monday morning. We're expecting the heaviest snow rates during the daylight hours today, with periods where we could see 2 to 4 centimetres per hour falling in the most intense bands. That's the kind of snowfall rate where road crews can't keep up, where highways become snow-covered faster than ploughs can clear them, and where visibility drops to near zero. The system should begin to weaken Monday afternoon, as the upper-level low-pressure system responsible for funneling this cold air southward starts to shift eastward. But we're still looking at lingering lake-effect snow showers through Monday evening before things finally taper off. Let's get geographic and specific about who's seeing what, because this is not a uniform situation across all of southern Ontario. The primary impact zone, where we're seeing those 15 to 25 centimetre totals, extends from St. Catharines and the Niagara region northward through Hamilton, Burlington, Oakville, and the western Greater Toronto area. That band continues northeast through Oshawa, Clarington, and into Northumberland County. Prince Edward County is particularly hard hit because of its peninsular geography. You're getting lake effect enhancement from multiple directions there. Further east, Kingston and the Frontenac region are under similar warnings with expected totals in the 12 to 20 centimetre range. Now, if we look at what's happened already, because we're not just talking about forecast here, we're talking about ongoing conditions. Environment Canada's measurement stations in Burlington have already recorded 8 centimetres as of 8 a.m. Eastern Time this morning. Hamilton is sitting at 11 centimetres. And some localised areas in the Niagara Escarpment are reporting 13 centimetres. Those are official ground measurements from automated stations, and remember, we're only about 8 hours into this event. The radar imagery from Environment Canada's King City Weather Radar shows multiple intense snow bands oriented southwest to northeast, and those bands are basically stationary, meaning the same areas are getting hammered repeatedly rather than the snow spreading out over a wider area. The road conditions, and this is where the rubber meets the road literally. The Ontario Provincial Police have reported multiple vehicle collisions on Highway 401 through the affected regions, with a particularly serious multi-vehicle pile-up near Hamilton this morning that closed westbound lanes for 3 hours. Highway 403 has seen similar issues, and the QEW, the Niagara region, is reporting snow-covered conditions with speeds reduced to 60 to 80 kilometers per hour, where posted limits are normally 100. The OPP's official Twitter feed, I'm checking this in real time, is strongly advising against non-essential travel through the yellow warning zones, and several school boards, including Hamilton Wentworth District School Board and Kawartha Pine Ridge District School Board, have announced closures for Monday as a precautionary measure. What about the extended timeline here? Looking beyond Monday, the long-range models are showing we get a brief break Tuesday and Wednesday, but there's another Arctic air mass potentially moving in for next weekend, which could set up a similar lake effect scenario. The GFS model ensemble runs are showing agreement on temperatures dropping back to the -15 to -20 Celsius range by Friday and Saturday. And if that cold air arrives while the lakes still have open water, which they will, because we're only in early February, we could be looking at round 2 of significant lake effect snow. The European model is slightly less aggressive with the cold air arrival timing, pushing it into the following week. But either way, we need to be thinking about this not as a one-off event, but as a pattern that could repeat. Temperature-wise, we're looking at highs today struggling to reach -8 to -10 Celsius across the affected regions, with wind chills making it feel like -18 to -22. Tonight, actual air temperatures drop to -12 to -15, with wind chills approaching -25 in exposed areas. That's cold enough that if you're stuck on a highway, if your car breaks down, if you run out of gas sitting in traffic, you're in a dangerous situation very quickly. Monday's highs recover slightly to -6 to -8, but we're still well below seasonal norms. The average high for early February in southern Ontario is typically around -2 to 0 degrees Celsius. Now, let's talk about what this means for you specifically, because this isn't just academic weather discussion. This is actionable information that needs to shape your decisions over the next 36 hours. If you're in the yellow warning zones, and we've established those are the Niagara region, Hamilton, Halton, West GTA, Durham region, Northumberland County, and Prince Edward County, your first question should be, do I absolutely need to travel? Because Environment Canada doesn't issue yellow warnings lightly, these are conditions where travel becomes hazardous, where you need winter survival equipment in your vehicle, where you need to inform someone of your route and expected arrival time. If you do need to travel, you're looking at adding 50 to 100% to your normal travel time. You need to ensure your vehicle has a full tank of gas before you start. You need that winter emergency kit with blankets, flashlight, phone charger, water, and non-perishable food. For those planning to stay put, make sure you've got supplies to get through Monday without needing to venture out. That means groceries, medications, anything essential should already be in hand. If you're responsible for snow removal at your property, understand that you're going to be dealing with heavy wet snow that's difficult to move, especially with the wind creating drifting. The snow-to-liquid ratio on lake effect snow is typically lower than synoptic snow events, meaning this snow is denser and heavier per unit volume. You're looking at roughly 10-to-1 ratio rather than the fluffier 15-to-1 or 20-to-1 ratios you'd see with clipper systems, so a shovelful of this snow is going to be substantially heavier. The broader context here, and this is worth understanding, is that we're in a weather pattern that's been delivering below normal temperatures across eastern Canada and the northeastern United States since mid-January. The polar vortex has been displaced southward, which is allowing these Arctic air masses to plunge much further south than we typically see. The Climate Prediction Centre's outlook for February is calling for continued below normal temperatures across the Great Lakes and northeast, which means the potential for repeated lake effect events throughout the month. We're also in a year where the Great Lakes ice cover is running below historical averages. Current ice coverage on Lake Ontario is only about 8%, compared to the historical average of 15 to 20% for early February, which means more open water is available to fuel these lake effect systems. Looking at snowfall totals for the season so far, Toronto Pearson International Airport has recorded 87 centimetres of snow since December 1st, which is running about 15% above the seasonal average for this date. Hamilton is at 102 centimetres, roughly 25% above average. This event is going to add another significant chunk to those totals, and we're only at the beginning of February. Historically, February and March combined deliver as much snow as December and January together across southern Ontario. So we're potentially looking at a winter that finishes well above normal snowfall by the time we reach spring. The aviation sector is dealing with impacts as well. Toronto Pearson has reported delays averaging 45 minutes for departures this morning, with several cancellations, particularly for regional flights into and out of the affected areas. Billy Bishop, Toronto City Airport, which sits right on the lake and is more directly exposed to lake effect bands, has seen more significant disruptions with multiple cancellations. If you've got travel plans over the next couple of days, you need to be checking your flight status repeatedly and building in buffer time for potential delays or cancellations. From a public safety standpoint, Environment Canada is emphasising that visibility can change rapidly in lake effect conditions. You can go from reasonable visibility to whiteout conditions within minutes as these snow bands intensify and move through. That's different from a broader snowstorm, where conditions deteriorate more gradually and predictably. The sudden changes in visibility have been factors in the multiple vehicle pileups we've seen this morning, where drivers encounter whiteout conditions without adequate warning and don't have time to reduce speed appropriately. The official guidance is if you encounter whiteout conditions, do not stop on the roadway if you can possibly avoid it. Instead, reduce speed gradually, turn on your four-way flashers, and look for the next exit or safe place to pull completely off the travelled portion of the road. Municipal services are adapting to the conditions. Most municipalities in the affected regions have deployed their full complement of snow removal equipment. But again, when you're dealing with snowfall rates of 2 to 4 centimetres per hour, even continuous ploughing can't keep roads completely clear. Salt effectiveness also diminishes at temperatures below -10 Celsius, which is where we are now, so road crews are using salt-sand mixtures or alternative de-icing compounds. But those are less effective at actually melting snow and more focused on providing traction. The bottom line is that even on major highways and arterial roads, you need to expect snow-covered conditions with significantly reduced traction. For those in rural areas within the warning zones, I understand that secondary roads and concession roads are going to receive lower priority for ploughing, which means you could be looking at impassable conditions on those routes well into Monday or even Tuesday before crews get to them. If you're in a rural area and you lose power, and we haven't seen significant power outages yet, but heavy wet snow combined with wind can bring down power lines, make sure you have alternative heating sources. And remember never to use generators indoors or in attached garages due to carbon monoxide risk. The livestock and agricultural sector needs to be aware as well. If you've got animals that need access to water, make sure those water sources aren't going to freeze over during this cold snap, and ensure animals have adequate shelter from the wind. The combination of temperatures in the -15 range with 40 km/h winds creates serious wind chill that affects livestock just as much as it affects humans. Looking at what happens after the snow stops, we're going to transition into a very cold period, Monday night through Wednesday morning, with overnight lows potentially reaching -18 to -20 across inland areas of southern Ontario. That means all this fresh snow is going to remain on the ground, it's not melting, and we're going to be dealing with the accumulated impacts for several days. The extended cold also means heightened risk for water main breaks, frozen pipes in homes that aren't adequately insulated, and increased strain on heating systems. The historical context worth noting. This isn't unprecedented for early February in southern Ontario, but it is a significant event. If we look back at comparable lake effect events, the February 2007 lake effect event delivered similar snowfall totals across the same regions, and the January 1999 event was actually more severe, with some areas receiving 35 to 40 centimetres. So while this is serious and requires appropriate response, this is within the range of winter weather we need to be prepared for in this region. What makes it feel more impactful is that we haven't had a major lake effect event yet this season, so this is the first real test of winter preparedness for many people. The bottom line message here: yellow warnings mean hazardous conditions. 15 to 25 centimetres of snow means significant travel disruption and the kind of accumulation that creates dangerous driving conditions. Lake effect means localized intense snow bands that can create whiteout visibility, and the next 36 hours means this is going to persist through Monday morning before conditions improve. If you're in the affected regions, minimise travel, prepare for the cold, stay informed through official sources, including Environment Canada's website and social media channels, and use common sense about whether your travel plans are worth the risk. I'll be monitoring this situation throughout the day and providing updates as conditions evolve, as warning areas potentially expand or contract based on how these snow bands set up, and as we get closer to Monday and can provide more specific timing on when conditions improve in different areas. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel and have notifications turned on so you don't miss those updates. Because in rapidly evolving weather situations, having current information can literally be a life safety issue. Stay safe out there, take this seriously, but don't panic, prepare appropriately, and we'll get through this together. Check back for updates, and I'll see you in the next forecast.